Hi everyone, my name is Selena Jofi. This presentation is entitled Vegetarian Diets, Types, Pros, and Cons. What is a vegetarian diet? A vegetarian diet is one that does not include any meat, poultry, or seafood. It is a meal plan made up of foods that come mostly from plants. These include vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, seeds, and nuts. It may include eggs and/or milk. A vegetarian diet contains no animal proteins. A semi-vegetarian diet is a meal plan that contains little animal protein, but mostly plant-based foods. Vegetarians do not eat fowl, seafood, beef, lamb, pork, and other animal meats such as bison or exotic meats like ostrich or alligator. Vegetarians also do not eat products containing gelatin or rennin, which is an enzyme found in cow's stomach used to produce many cheese. Different types of vegetarians. Vegan. This type of diet includes only plant-based foods. It has no animal proteins or animal byproducts such as eggs, milk, or honey. Lacto-Ovo Vegetarian. It includes plant foods, dairy products, and eggs. A lacto-vegetarian abstains from eggs, meat, poultry, seafood, and fish, but eats dairy. An ovo-vegetarian includes eggs and egg products, but not dairy or other animal proteins such as seafood, fish, poultry, and meat. Semi or partial vegetarian / flexitarian includes plant foods with the occasional inclusion of chicken or fish, dairy products, and eggs. It does not include red meat. A pescatarian includes plant food and seafood, mainly fish. Pros of being a vegetarian. Improved heart health. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, vegetarians are up to 1/3 less likely to die of heart diseases. This sort of diet may lead to lower blood pressure, improved cholesterol levels, healthier weight, and less incidence of type 2 diabetes, all of which can reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. Reduced risk of cancer. According to the 2014 study, diets high in animal protein were associated with 4 times more cancer death risk compared to high protein diets based on plant-derived protein sources. It has been found that vegetarians show up to 40% less chance of developing cancer. Consuming enough fruits and vegetables will strengthen our immune system and help us fight against cancer cells. Improved digestion. Digestive health can improve with a vegetarian diet, with the key being a well-planned one, of course. When you eat food rich in fiber, you feel fuller and avoid both constipation and diarrhea. In other words, being a vegetarian helps keep foods and waste moving smoothly through your system. Better bone health. While it might seem like animal products are good for calcium and bone health, it might force calcium out of the body. Osteoporosis is a common chronic condition associated with progressive loss of bone mineral density and compromised bone strength. And it was found that its rates are lower in countries where people eat mostly vegetarian diets. Longevity. Some studies and research have been done to investigate the link between vegetarian diets and longevity, and many positive associations have been found. Studies show that people who follow a healthy plant-based diet live longer than those who eat meat, but it is hard to tell if it is the diet itself or the mindful eating practices and regular exercise practices by most vegetarians and vegans. Better weight control. People who follow vegetarian diets are less likely to become obese than individuals who are into an omnivore diet. This could be the result of higher consumption of lower calorie, more filling foods like veggies and beans. Besides, obesity invites major diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, and cancer. So it is better to keep your weight in check. Ethical virtue. Some people believe that killing animals mercilessly in the name of producing food is not ethical. Animals are sentient beings just like humans, and they too have social connections. All animals can experience stress, pain, and fear. It is not fair that these animals have to die to satisfy an unnecessary dietary preference. So, cutting out animal products from our diet is a kinder, gentler way to live an ethical life. Cons of being a vegetarian. Might lack some nutrients. Some vegetarian diets might be missing some of the nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin B12, vitamin D. If meals aren't planned properly, meat and protein needs gets hard too. You have to make an extra effort to ensure that your diet contains all the vitamins and minerals needed for good health. Fewer food choices. A vegetarian diet might seem to be limiting at first. It may seem like almost every dish contains meat at first. Additionally, eating out as a vegetarian can sometimes be a real challenge. Most restaurant menus are all about meat, and vegetarian options can be limited. Not always a healthy food. Consuming a well-balanced vegetarian diet can provide health benefits, but there is an increasing number of heavily processed vegetarian food. These foods contain more fat and added sugar and calories than their traditional counterparts. You must include plenty of veggies and greens in your diet, rather than just grains and ready-made goods if you are to eat healthily. Pro and con of Lacto-Ovo Vegetarian diet. It is good for type 2 diabetes patients. The Lacto-Ovo vegetarian lifestyle improves blood sugar IQ control, which improves insulin sensitivity, regulates blood sugar levels, and may lower overall hemoglobin A1C levels, which is a marker of long-term blood sugar control. The con is that the most common side effect is a lack of vitamin B12. Some vegetarian meals lack vitamin B12, which may cause nerve problems, fatigue, and difficulty thinking. Pros and cons of a pescatarian diet. The pros are more protein choices than a strict vegetarian diet, and they are a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. The cons, it can be expensive, and some types of fish contain high levels of mercury, which can affect women considering becoming pregnant, women who are pregnant, and nursing mothers. Genesis 1:29 says, "And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." Genesis chapter 3 verse 18. "Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field." What was God's original diet in the Garden of Eden? Genesis speaks of a diet of fruits, grains, nuts, and legumes. After sin, God introduced the herb of the field, known as vegetables. Genesis 7 explains how God destroyed the world with a flood, killing both man and beast because of sin. The flood that destroyed the wicked also destroyed all the vegetation that God initially created as food for man. But God foresaw Noah and his family's needs and made provision for their survival. Genesis 7 verses 2 to 3 shows the straightforward command that God gave Noah concerning the clean and unclean animals when they entered the ark, which is 7 pairs of clean animals and 1 pair of unclean animals. The clean animals were to serve as food for the human family after the flood. It is important to note that the flood destroyed all the vegetation that served as food. Hence, it was under this circumstance that God permitted Noah and his family to eat flesh food, as explained in Genesis chapter 9, verse 2. God is a God who does not change. Malachi 3, verse 6. In both Old and New Testaments, we come across the clear distinction between the clean and unclean animal species in Leviticus chapter 11, verses 1 to 47, Deuteronomy 14, verses 2 to 20, and Acts chapter 10, verse 14. Counsels for the Church by Ellen White, pages 408 to 409 says, flesh was never the best food, but its use is now doubly objectionable, since disease in animals is so rapidly increasing. Those who use flesh foods little know what they are eating. Often, if they could see the animals when living and know the quality of the meat they eat, they would turn from it with loathing. People are continually eating flesh that is filled with tuberculosis, and cancerous germs. Tuberculosis, cancer, and other fatal diseases are thus communicated. The liability to take disease is increased tenfold by meat eating. The animals are diseased, and by partaking of their flesh, we plant the seeds of disease in our own tissue and blood. Then, when exposed to the changes in the malarious atmosphere, these are more sensibly felt. Also, when we are exposed to prevailing epidemics and contagious diseases, the system is not in a condition to resist the disease. Counsels for the Church, page 417, from Sister White says, a meat diet changes the disposition and strengthens animalism. We are composed of what we eat, and eating much flesh will diminish intellectual activity. Students would accomplish much more in their studies if they never tasted meat. When the animal part of the human agent is strengthened by meat eating, the intellectual powers diminish proportionately. This passage simply means that eating clean meats can still have an effect on us as humans, and it can still cause cancer and many other types of diseases. Therefore, we should stick to the plant-based diet that God placed for us to eat. Although eating a plant-based diet is very good, we must not forget the other 8 laws of health. You're simply not healthy alone by just simply being a vegetarian, but including the other laws such as exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, and trust in God. That way we will be healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31 says, whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. And that includes trying to stay as healthy as possible by eating a plant-based diet. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I do hope that you have learned something today.